Well, a surprise offensive by Syrian opposition forces led by a designated terrorist group has dramatically reignited the country's civil war. The Syrian government now holds less territory than rebel groups and is scrambling to stop further losses. Our Middle East correspondent Eric Twarchek reports.
Analysts and long-time Syria observers have been stunned by the speed and the success of this surprise offensive launched from the northwestern province of Idlib towards Aleppo. I think the expectation was that these forces, which are led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, an Islamist group which used to be linked with al-Qaeda, the rate at which they've taken territory and the fact that they were able to capture most of Aleppo city was extraordinary and unexpected. The city is the commercial capital of Syria, the second largest city in the country, and Syrians from Aleppo describe it as, if Damascus is the head of Syria, then Aleppo is the heart. So its fall is a major event in the Syrian civil war. It was recaptured by the government forces in 2016 with the help of the Russian Air Force and mercenary groups and militias from outside Syria. And it's extraordinarily important to the government of Bashar al-Assad to hold Aleppo in government hands. But now it's fallen and the rebel groups have advanced south towards the city of Hama. They've taken really crucial villages and strategic points along the way, and the collapse of government forces has been astonishing. But it's not really a surprise to long-term Syria observers. They've noted there's been a real deterioration in the services provided by the Syrian government, in the governance in those regime-held areas. For example, people in Aleppo were saying they were only getting 2 hours worth of electricity a day. Things were really crumbling in many parts of the country held by the Syrian government. And while they're perhaps not happy to see an Islamist group leading the charge to reclaim those areas, they are hopeful that that group will provide a higher level of service and stability. And just on that, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which has been governing Idlib, the northwestern province of Syria, people say it's been providing constant electricity. People say the bakeries in Idlib are running all the time. There's enough food, there's enough fuel, there's enough cooking gas for people to live. Conditions aren't great, but they're significantly better than they were, for example, in Aleppo. There's also a number of people who were displaced from Aleppo when the regime took over, and they've been able to come back. They've been able to see family. There's been emotional scenes of people being released from government prisons, and the stories of their treatment in there are horrifying. So while Syrians simply want to live in a Syria that's free, that's inclusive, that where minorities aren't persecuted, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham has been trying to distance itself from its al-Qaeda links. In 2016, it disavowed the group. It's been trying to present itself as more moderate, more inclusive and tolerant of minorities. It says people will be able to celebrate Christmas. In Aleppo, for example, women aren't required to veil. This is despite being an Islamist group. So it's an open question about how things are going to go and where this will end. It's expected that the borders now between the rebel-held territory and the government-held areas will stabilise at some point, and as yet this offensive hasn't threatened the hold on power of President Bashar al-Assad, but things have been moving very quickly, and what's happened in Syria over the last few days has surprised even the most seasoned observers of this very long-running conflict.